Hey, remember us from last time? SpongeBob SquarePants is one of the most popular and beloved animated shows of all time, but that doesn't mean it's flawless by any means. The show has been running for over 20 years, and in that time, it has accumulated its fair share of animation errors and inconsistencies. Here is another wave of animation errors that we can find in this history-making show. Number 1. SpongeBob Haunted House? There have been many times where we've told you about the many professions and working ideas that SpongeBob has had over the years, right? During the episode Bubblestand from the first season of the show, SpongeBob decides to create his own stand to let his friends and other inhabitants of Bikini Bottom to create and blow their own bubbles. How funny this looks. While both Patrick and Bob are having a really good time, Squidward comes to the stand, and you know that when he's around, strange things always tend to happen. We all know that Patrick's rock, SpongeBob's pineapple, and Squidward's house are a vital part of the structure of Conch Street, so let's take a big look around this time. Being the good friend he is, SpongeBob spins while trying to show Squidward the bubble-blowing technique. His house is missing one of its windows, and not only that, when they're chanting Squidward's name a little bit after, SpongeBob's house is nowhere to be seen. Maybe Bikini Bottom has way more mysticism than we thought at first. Number 2, a dangerous man with dangerous protection? There have been many times when we've been presented with many of the other inhabitants, but have you ever heard about the Strangler? In this episode from the third season of the show, SpongeBob makes a heroic appearance and manages to send one of Bikini Bottom's most feared criminals, the Strangler, to jail. But things won't go as good as our hero wanted for him because which villain does not want revenge on the guy who sends him to jail? In what seems like a cat-and-mouse game between Bob, Patrick, and the Strangler, we can see some animation errors that makes this attempt to kill Bob quite funny. When the police get their hand into the vastly aggressive and dangerous criminal, we see that they even put cuffs on his eyes. Imagine how powerful he is just to get his eyes cuffed too. Seems scary to even hear. But if we continue with the scene, there's a strange detail in the next frames. Suddenly, the eye cuffs have disappeared. Maybe the police changed their minds, or maybe the animators got a second thought about that and left his eyes free. Whatever it is, maybe we need even more protection for such a great villain. Number 3. A trip to the moon? Maybe if you're following this channel, the episode Sandy's Rocket might ring a bell for you from our Easter egg videos, as it is an episode capped with references and great details to look out for. In case you missed it, during this episode, both SpongeBob and Patrick infiltrate Sandy's house and elaborate a plan to steal the squirrel's rocket and try to go to the moon on a friendly and funny trip. Nothing can be wrong here, right? In one of the funniest and wackiest moments in the series, when the rocket that our heroes are piloting starts to lose control and makes circles around the moon, he looks not as bigger, but even way bigger than the moon. This, of course, is to exaggerate the situation, but there are other times when we see that the moon is bigger than the rocket. So what do we think here? Maybe the animators want to trick us? Or it's just a funny detail added to the episode? Number 4, a strange, soon-to-be ghost. Switching to a more Halloweenish theme here, do you know who the resident ghost of Bikini Bottom is? Maybe the name of the Flying Dutchman means something to you. Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost is one of the funniest episodes from the first season of the show, since we can see how Squidward pretends to be a ghost after SpongeBob and Patrick believe he's dead. But not only Squidward is the main protagonist of this episode, because when our heroes are cleaning his house, they end up finding a very strange book. The book containing the story of a character that would be a recurring visitor to Bob and his friends, the ghost known as the Flying Dutchman. But the funny thing is that the cover of the book shows him being green, which is associated with being dead and already transformed into a ghost, when, if it's his origin story, he shouldn't be. Maybe the animators were foreseeing the future, or maybe they forgot about him being alive at that time. What will be the answer? We will never know. Number 5, a not-so-spooky costume. During their mischievous actions and pranks, when they first go to the Palace of Pranks to buy some scary items, we find the first errors. If you look closely enough, when Frank shows Bob the box of exploding chewing gum, the box has a typo, and instead of naming it exploding chewing gum, it says explopting chewing gum. Just a little error to get started. Continuing with the items and their flaws, when we see the spray that the pair will use as the masterpiece to their plan the first time, it has a danger sign at the bottom. But there are some frames when Bob uses it that the sign disappears. Strange, right? And saving the best for last, when the spray washes off Patrick, suddenly his belly button starts to appear and disappear. Maybe this spray has some side effects when used on starfishes. These are just some of the many animation errors that can be found in SpongeBob SquarePants. While they don't ruin the show, they do make it more fun to spot them and wonder how they happened. Maybe they're intentional jokes, or maybe they're just oversights by the animators. Either way, they add another layer of humor and charm to this iconic cartoon. And as we always say, if you want to know more about our yellow-colored friend, please subscribe to our channel so you can keep track of our videos and watch more good SpongeBob content. And until the next time, goodbye. Bye.